Hello, this is Jason Arnold, and I'm giving you my perspective and analysis and the reflection of the project schedule, the group project schedule that we did, as well as the accompanying work breakdown structure, which is also attached to a work budget on the first level analysis. Talk about the project. I think with most of the projects that we do, it's always good to get a real world examples. I hate to be generic and keep using that, but it is a pretty good idea to see how tedious and sometimes repetitive these processes can be. I remember with the last assignment we did, we were having to list the stakeholders, and we had to do the viewpoints of the stakeholders and how monotonous that can be, and how it can be up to 50 stakeholders. This could have the same type of monotony, but just because of the sheer level of detail when it comes to the scheduling and making sure that you have everything done within the process groups, whether it's through the initiation process or the planning or the execution or the monitoring and controlling or even in the closing. So it gives you that variance of how those schedules and processes are, and the estimated times of beginning and ending beginning things. It's really one of those things where you want to make sure that you have it detailed. So if you're in the initiation stage and you're doing uh, project, if you're doing the identification of the project team, or if you're identifying project stakeholders or anything like that, you want to make sure that you understand that initiation phase, and you detail it accordingly. But I think the thing that would mess you up, or the thing that would kind of be difficult, is the time estimates, because if you have it listed on your project schedule and you have the times coordinated correctly, and you get to a point where you are introducing the project, and anytime your timetable is off, it would probably create a domino effect, and that could pretty much be combative of any type of budgeting that goes on in the within your not only your schedule but within your project, whether it's implementation or whatever. So you want to make sure that you're giving, I don't want to say cushions to it, but you want to estimate your time accordingly. And if you get done early, then that would be a benefit. So that's something that I thought was kind of interesting with this. Just going over it right now, it was like I said, it was rather it was interesting perspective with group members, because everybody had different points of view and had different understandings, and so that dynamic is always a good example. And again, like I said, not to be generic, but this is definitely giving us real world examples, and I appreciate the efforts of not just trying to do things that are specifically correct just to get a grade, but to understand it, because as somewhat frustrating as it was, I do understand it a lot more than I did, and I'm definitely appreciative of that. So if we were to go into being a PMP, a project management professional or anything, we will have this basis, and if those frustrations come up within a group dynamic, and we're you know talking to stakeholders or project sponsors or managers, if we're doing this in a group dynamic to get a grade, just imagine if you were getting paid and you were having to do that. So that heightened anxiety and stress would definitely be there. So I think this class is just an introductory or introduction of how that would be. So I'm appreciative of that. As far as the pros and cons, again, I kind of just went into the pros and cons. I'm just appreciative of the real world examples. The cons for me was trying to use the open project. Going into it, I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't used to it, so I guess you have to have some type of understanding of the system or the functionality of using that type of system to make sure that it goes accordingly. I'm sure it would be a lot easier for those who did use the open project. I'm sure it was a lot easier when you're doing your work breakdown structure, to have those things already computed. So I applaud those for doing that. But we had to, in my group, we had to do ours the old-fashioned Excel way. So that was a bit tedious. So that was a con for me. But it actually made you look at the numbers and kind of understand them accordingly, and do your actual rates and your budgets or any overtures that you may have. So it was good to actually go through them and utilize those processes, and I actually need to get a little bit more acclimated with with my Excel utilization. And my teammates and I, or my group members, we were talking about how well Dr. Rutledge used Excel, and I got to get a little bit better. Even though that sounds a little elementary, definitely got to get a little bit better on using Excel, but we were able to find a template to utilize, so that kind of helped us a lot. And we had some functional things that we did wrong. So when certain group members were doing well in certain areas, we kind of leaned on them for that. So it was definitely a group dynamic that I appreciated. So again, pros was real examples. Cons was just the functionality of the OpenEMR and having to use a different method as far as Excel. But overall, it was a good project, and it definitely flowed into the project charter from an individual perspective. And I'm definitely appreciative of this class, and just look forward to learning more. So if we definitely choose that route of being a PMP, that we'll be adequately prepared. At any rate, this is going on 6 minutes. Hopefully, I'm not too unprofessional. I welcome any questions, comments, criticisms, or concerns, and I thank everybody for your time. Have a blessed one. Thank you.